Late at night on the beach, a huge group of college students is having a wild party. Suddenly Vance and Gilbert bring a ball made of a goo that they found in the sea. They want to make a bigger fire to burn it, but they get distracted when insults are thrown and an argument ensues. The ball is forgotten and the crowd keeps having fun for the rest of the night. While other four friends wake up in a car, Marcia awakens on a table and immediately throws up. Kaylee looks around and notices lots of abandoned objects on the sand but no more people, which is strange. There's also a bird stuck on the ground and Kaylee is shocked to see it sink into the sand. When Marcia begins moving, Kale tries to tell her not to do it, but it's too late. Her feet are stuck and she can't pull them out no matter how much she tries. When her hands touch the sand, they get stuck too. At first the group in the car thinks she's pranking them, but her screaming and tears prove she truly is afraid. Vance wants to help her and ignores the others when they try to stop him. He jumps out of the car and only takes a couple of steps before he falls and gets stuck too. When Vance starts yelling in pain, Mitch and Jonah want to help him but the girls stop them. As Vance begins to sink into the sand, Jonah tries starting the car but it won't work. Mitch throws a buoy tied to a rope but doesn't fall close enough. By now Vance has lost half his face and when he tries to raise his head, very thin strands pull him back down. In just a few minutes, both he and Marcia disappear into the sand. Mysterious strands try reaching for the car tires. Kaylee and Mitch find some alcohol in the cooler and start drinking. Hours pass but nobody shows up. The sun is getting strong and the people in the car try to cover themselves with a towel. Everyone cries except for Gilbert, who starts freaking out because the heat is burning his skin. Jonah tosses him the sunscreen, which calms him down for now. At that moment Kaylee notices the goo ball all dried up and broken in two. Ronnie realizes it looks like it hatched, which means it's not a ball, it's an egg and the monster that came out of it is the thing in the sand eating people. The group begins arguing again and Ronnie points out they haven't seen a single car or person pass by in hours, so she can't be this simple. Refusing to give up, Jonah grabs two surfboards from the back of the car and throws them on the sand. The monster doesn't react, so he jumps on them safely. Now he can alternate the boards to move without danger. When Kaylee reminds him not to put his fingers too close to the sand, Jonah stops moving and announces they need to talk. He calls out everyone who cheated last night but his friends think this should be a talk for later, their priority should be escaping. Jonah keeps moving and when he reaches a bench, the surfboard slips and he almost falls, but he grabs onto the bench at the last second. The others notice that the monster strands are moving the boards back and tell Jonah to come back, but he insists he can still save himself. Suddenly the strands appear under Jonah and touch his stomach, so he makes a jump to finally reach the top of the table. The strands left bleeding wounds on his skin and Jonah starts to feel dizzy, so he lays down while hearing a pitching sound in his ears instead of his friends' worried voices. After a few seconds of resting, Jonah snaps out of it and complains about the pain, explaining it feels like 1,000 jellyfish. Since the wounds aren't very deep, Ronnie concludes the strands are poisonous. Jonah takes a deep breath and forces himself to move since there's a bag on the bench. He finds some food and accidentally drops a banana, which doesn't sink. When he picks it up, he notices the strands and lowers the banana again, but the monster only comes out in the sand, not on the bonfire spot. Then he jumps off the bench to land on the same spot and nothing happens, which confirms his theory, the monster hates fire. To celebrate, Jonah eats the banana only to watch in horror how his stomach wounds begin expelling pus. Tell them the beach is closed. The friends explain what happened but Alex thinks they drank too much and doesn't believe them. Ignoring their warnings, he gets out of the car, but nothing happens. Alex checks on both Jonah and Gilbert, walking around the beach without issues. It turns out the strands try to grab his feet but can't get through his boots. He mocks Gilbert for his size and the drawing on his face before trying to pull him out to no avail. Then Alex checks on Ronnie but he can't get her fingers out either. He keeps insulting everyone and implying they consumed something illegal, so Kaylee yells at him for being useless. Alex goes to the lifeguard stand and begins arguing with Kale and Mitch, still not believing their story and threatening to use force if they don't come down. Since the duo refuses, he reaches for his pepper spray and accidentally drops his car keys. As soon as he reaches down to grab them, his hand gets stuck. Kale tells him to use the pepper spray and when Alex sprays the strands, they disappear underground and let go. Alex screams in pain when he discovers his arm has already been eaten and falls on the sand because the monster has started to pull him down. Using the ramp on the stand, Ronnie gets close enough to grab the pepper spray and ignores Alex's cries for help, letting him sink to his death. Jonah apologizes to Kaylee for what he did and they say I love you to each other. Gilbert uses his last strength to turn around in the barrel to communicate better with his friends and the strands keep reaching out for the dripping blood. Kaylee and Shanda pull Ronnie's body until they manage to get her hand out, then they bandage it with a towel. Then they put the railing pieces on the sand to make a bridge and Shanda walks on it while explaining she actually did nothing with Jonah last night. After Shanda makes it safely to the table, Kaylee crosses too to reach her boyfriend. Ronnie comes next but she gets distracted when she notices blood dripping from the towel. As Ronnie loses balance and falls, Kaylee begins spreading paper spray to buy them some time. It appears Ronnie is fine and Kaylee grabs her arm, however the monster strands reach Ronnie's other arm and bring her down to make her sink. Everyone cries, unaware that the strands are slowly going up Gilbert's barrel. Shanda decides to try Mitch's plan by covering her feet with the towels. She runs as fast as she can and manages to get on top of Alex's car. Suddenly Gilbert feels the barrel moving and panics, but it only lasts a few seconds. Right after he announces it's over, he spits blood as big tentacles come out of the can to wrap around his body. They immediately bring him down, only leaving a trail of blood behind. Then the monster shakes Alex's car, causing Shanda to fall on the hood and hit her head, which knocks her out. Several hours pass and night falls. Shanda finally wakes up and discovers there's a raft on top of the car. She tosses it on the sand to reach the table, and now she can help Kaylee bring Jonah into the car. At that moment the ground starts shaking and Kaylee falls back onto the raft. When she is about to return to the vehicle, a glowing tentacle comes out in front of her and tries to attack, but since she dodges it only closes the car door before disappearing. Then Kaylee climbs on top of the car and grabs a gas can, only for the tentacle to come out again and destroy it, spreading gas all over itself. Kaylee grabs a second can and empties it on the sand before taking some matches from her pocket. When the tentacle tries to attack her again, Kaylee lights the matches and throws them at it, so the entire tentacle catches on fire. As the creature squirms and screeches, Shanda opens the door so Kale can get in the car too. The monster tries opening the door, but the girls pull it back to keep it closed. It also tries hitting the car with its now bigger strands to no avail, so it decides to disappear. The girls take a moment to regain their breath and realize Jonah is dead, so they break down in tears. The next morning a surfer finds the car and knocks on the window to wake the girls up. They come out and walk on the sand without issues, meaning the monster is gone. While Kaylee and Shanda start making their way home, the creature is swimming in the sea to try to reach a new beach with fresh victims.